Floss Tube, I'm Annette. Welcome to the Acre, and it's time for a July update. I've squeaked it into the base to the end of July, but at least I'm getting it in July. So I've got a few things to show, and hopefully we'll have some background stuff in a minute, and we'll go. So since we last talked on the 11th of June. It seems long ago, but not so long ago. So what have I done since then? Since then, I went to a get together with some friends at the third week of June back in Tennessee, which was great fun as always, and finished some things, started a couple things, so I'll show you those. I also went to Dallas for a couple of days for work, so that was the very end of June. Since then, though, I can happily say I have not been on an airplane, but I have been working. So I actually am working on an assignment here in Phoenix. It's about a 40-mile drive, but that's okay. It's not to the airport. So it's been different, and getting used to it, getting reused to traveling to work. I'll be there for at least probably another month, and then we'll see where it goes from there. But during that time, stitching has calmed down just a little bit because obviously I'm not getting home until later, and with everything else going on, I've had more no-stitch days in July than I've had in any other month this year. So it's all balanced. We'll get there. Since I've finished 3 things since we chatted last. One of them was the round robin. That was delivered to one of my friends in Tennessee, so I have a picture, so I'll try to insert that here. That round robin is huge. It's almost as long as she is tall, and there were 8 gals that stitched on it, and I was the last one. So my round robin piece from that particular one still is out. I have 2 people that are going to stitch on it. One person that was part of the original group that had some issues, and so we had to skip her. So now she's ready to come back and catch up. And then another friend of mine, my local best friend Terry here, is gonna put the bottom finishing touch on it. So I'll have that to show in a future video. The other thing that I finished while I was at the retreat was one of my Hill Santas. So this is Captain Santa. So I finished him while I was in Tennessee. He was started last July as part of the Crazy 7 in July of last year. And of those 7 starts, I only have 1 Santa left that I haven't finished. So hopefully he'll get out of the gate here soon. Once, when I came back, I was kind of in this finishing thing, so I also finished another Hill. So this is Mary Moose ornament. Jesse Murray finished this guy not too long ago, I think. But yeah, so I finished him in June as well. So those were 3 finishes in June, which were good. Yay. Of course, I started 3 things, but, it all balances out. The other thing that I had done this month is I had some framing done. So I have that to show, because obviously I haven't put anything on the wall. Oh, welcome to my new sewing room. Not much to see. There's a big old mess over here in the corner, and the closet has got some stuff in it. Obviously there's nothing on the wall yet behind me. It's a work in progress, but it's definitely in progress. And I've even had the sewing machine out. Wow. And started even finished off edges on a couple projects. So it's definitely in progress. It's got a great window, so I've got no problems with light, and it's north facing, so we are good to go. Anyway, first finished and frame finished is Don't Blink. Well, you can see the window. Don't Blink, Clouds Factory. So it's just kind of got a silvery frame. Came out great. I love it. The next one is Home of the Brave. Ta-da. You're not seeing the white, but I swear to you, it says white right there. I swear. Again, nice burled wood frame. Came out great. And then the last one is tapestry. Here, oof, there we go, no glare. So here's my tapestry, all completed and framed. Now the fun thing about this is actually 2 frames. This inside is a frame, and then this outer kind of almost it's deeper. So you can see there's almost like a good 3/4 of an inch right here to give it some more interest. But I just love the green and the swoopy, leafy, whatever things that come off in the tapestry, and then the brown I think just sets it off really nice. So this was double framed. But it came out great, and I love it, and I can't wait to get it hung up somewhere in the house. I had another piece, the baby sampler that I finished recently, that has already been gifted to the recipient. So it was just a small, very simple blue frame for that particular piece. So for all 4 of these pieces, and again, tapestry's got 2 frames, how much do you think I paid? No, not that much. $165 for all 4 pieces to be framed. Yeah. And my framer's trying to retire, which makes me sad. But I'm stitching like a mad woman to try to get as much done before he goes. So, I did, where I'm working at right now is actually maybe 10 minutes from where the frame shop is. So for these pieces, I was actually able to go after work and drop them off and pick them up instead of making the trek across town on the weekend. So McKenna, that's why I didn't call, sorry. I promise we'll find time at some point, hopefully when things calm down a little bit, and so we can get together, at least say hello in person. So those were finished finishes. So let's look at some starts. So I started 2 pieces during my get-together week. The first one is M Designs Celtic Cross. One of the gals, part of the get-together, she recently finished this, so she sent me, gifted me the passed on the chart, I guess, for lack of a better word. She passed on the chart. And I had some lovely Sulky, the Sulky blendables, and some 34 count linen, and I thought that would be an excellent, very simple chart to work on in some traveling. So I got the bottom corner in pretty good shape with the blendables. So that was a good start on that. My table here is very small. I'm still working on identifying what furniture I really want in here. So I've just got some makeshift stuff for now. Okay. The other thing that I started while I was out in Tennessee was Death by Cross Stitch. And here's my start. This is the lower left corner. It's 40 count white linen. This is a Silks for You variegated floss. The colors are a bit brighter than what you're seeing. That's a little better. So this is just a couple days, lots of chatting, lots of, oohing and ahhing over everybody else's stuff. So not a huge amount of dedicated stitching time, but still good start on Death by Cross Stitch has begun. So that's what's important. And like I said, Silks for You silk on 40 count white linen. So that was while I was in Tennessee. Then after I got back, I finished off my Merry Moose, right? And then, as we had discussed in my last video, I was trying to decide which of my Year of Whips pieces to pick up for my next focus. So I made the decision, and I picked it up at the, hold on, let me check my little schedule. Hold on. I did pick it up at the very end of June and the first couple 3 days of July. And that was Christmastide at Holly House by the Scarlet House. Was it the most votes? Did it get the most votes on my video? No. But to be perfectly honest, when Marlene from Stitching by the Lake said, I want to see the Christmas house, that was it. Choice was made. I love Marlene and her videos, Stitching by the Lake. She reminds me very much, and don't take this in a bad way, Marlene. She reminds me very much of my grandmother many, many years ago when she was younger, and her passion with needlework. And she was a school teacher for many years and retired as a school teacher. So there's just there's some similarities. I don't know if they're real or not, but in my mind they are. So perceived similarities. So when she said, this is what I want to see, I always do. I was used to do what my granny said. Don't laugh, Mom. So I knew that was the piece that I had to pick up and work on. So I picked it up at the very end of June, and then I've also worked on it another full week in July, and also this week. So lots of progress. So here it is right now. All I have left is one page. So that upper right quadrant is actually page 2. And it looks remarkably like this side. It looks exactly like this side. But I finished this page very late last night as I was up watching Midnight Texas. Have you watched Midnight Texas? New show on NBC based on Charlene Harris series. It was quite good. The pilot was just on last Monday, and it's available on demand, and it was good. It was good. I've read the books. Anyway, this is where we're at. So this is my next focus to get finished for Year of Whips. I'll work on it today and tomorrow night, and then I'll switch to my other project that I have here on Tuesday. So it'll probably still take me until the end of August to get it done. But I'll definitely, it'll at least get every other week until it's done. So there it is. This is on 40 count camel fudge linen by Stitches and Spice. Sadly, no longer available, but I'm sure there's many other things that you could get that would be very similar. NPI silks and 2 Belsois. So the bricks in the house are Belsois mud pie, and then the holly leaves are Belsois collard greens. Everything else are solid NPIs. So my favorite thing to work on is the house, so I have to be careful and make sure I do like other stuff, because if I just finish the house now, then it'll drag, because I won't want to do the snowflakes and stuff. But so today I'm gonna do some snowflakes and maybe a couple of trees, and then go to the house, because the house is my favorite. Anyway, good progress. This will be finished. This will be my next Year Whips finish. Woohoo! And then we'll see what I do next. So why I'm switching on Tuesdays is because 4th of July fell on Tuesday. Seems like a random fact until you understand that I had a new start on the 4th of July. I started Let Freedom Ring by Lila Studio on the 4th of July. Sorry about that, hit the wrong button on the laptop. Let Freedom Ring started on the 4th of July using 32 count ivory jubilant and the call for threads. And after 2 solid weeks, again, I worked on it from the 4th until the 10th, and then picked it up again on the 18th. Okay, I'm doing too much math. So anyway, 2 solid weeks, and here's where we're at. This is 3 pages. This is 3 pages. So it's 5 pages across. So the spire of Independence Hall is the middle. that's on page 3. The Liberty Bell is across page 3 and 4, and then the flowers are all on page 5. So everything you can see for 3 pages. There were some couple of partial things down here which I didn't do until I get down to that page. But everything else is on the page. This is all backstitched, everything else. I love working on this. It's difficult for me to put it away on Monday nights. But I'm so close to a finish on Christmastide, and Marlene told me to work on it. So I love both projects. I'm not working on anything else right now. For the entire month of July, I only worked on these 2 projects, and that's it. So, this will continue getting every other week. I don't know for how long. Till I decide I don't want to work on it anymore. I don't know. We'll see. It's huge. It's a 15-page chart. I don't want to do the math as to how long it'll take me at my current rate, but whatever. So that's it. Obviously, I only had 2 whips. So the other thing, really quick, is I showed my fairy Hill SHA last time. Since I had a significant amount of airplane time, I got quite a bit more done. It's not done, but it's closer. So the stitch marker is where I was up to last time. Okay, so now I've finished all the red, the first color section, and I've started the second color section. Stitch count wise, the change in color is halfway. I don't have near as many rows as I do in the gray as I did in the red, but that's it. And then can you see the beads? See the beads? There's the gray beads. Again, I love this. It's so easy to work on. I just knit more on the plain than anything else, so I haven't worked that in yet at home because obviously I can't knit when I'm driving to work. I wish. Okay, so that's all the whips. So I thought I would do real quick because we haven't been going that long here. 20 things about me. So let me get my list. Technology. Okay, so 20 things about Annette. Number 1, I met my husband online in 1997, so 20 years ago. Not through a dating website or matchmaking anything. It was just on AOL in a chat room for what they call 30-something. It's a 30-something chat room. And I was there and would visit, and we started talking, and he lived in Tennessee and I lived here, and eventually he moved here and we got married, and we'll be married 20 years in November, so it worked out. Very odd thing, when I was about, I think I was 6 at the time, I had my tonsils taken out, which was very common in the late 60s, early 70s, which is when that was. Well, they've grown back, and so I've had actually worse tonsillitis and after I had my tonsils removed than before. So, just a very odd thing. Usually when tonsils are removed, they take out adenoids as well. They didn't do that for me. So I had to go in for a second surgery when I was probably 7 or 8 years old to have those removed. And I remember dreaming the night before my surgery, it was a kind of looking gray, and hearing someone asking me questions about my dog and pets, just very odd questions. And then the next day, when they were putting me under for anesthesia, the anesthesiologist was asking me the exact same questions. It was very weird. So, I was born in Indiana, in Michigan City, Indiana, but I actually grew up in Michigan. Michigan City was the closest hospital, so to New Buffalo, Michigan, which is on the very, very southwest corner of Michigan. So, born in Indiana, grew up in Michigan. I've actually lived in 9 different states. My parents were non-military. My father was a truck driver, and they just liked to move around a lot. But I've lived in Arizona for 20 years, which is the longest I've lived anywhere. My favorite color is red. The license, my car is red. In fact, I bought a new car this month. It's red. And the license plate says Red Queen. So I have a strong hatred of green beans and meatloaf, which was my father's favorite meal growing up. So, yeah, those were always the worst nights. And I come from the family of you eat what's on your plate, and you don't leave the table until you clean your plate. So those were very long nights. But and before you tell me, I make great meatloaf, no, you don't. You may make great. Let me rephrase. You may make great meatloaf, but I won't like it because I don't. Now I actually make a good meatloaf because my husband and my son like it, but I won't eat it. I come from a very long line of needlewomen. My granny, she crocheted, she sewed, she taught me how to sew. Sorry, dog digging to China. She quilted. And she did some embroidery. She'd see it and go, oh, I can do that, and do one beautiful piece and then never touch it again. But crochet was her thing. Crochet and quilting were her thing. And then my mom crocheted. I believe she taught me to knit, but I don't remember. And then she did crewel embroidery, which I definitely remember that. And now she does cross stitch and she quilts. So it's a family thing. Kylie, my daughter, she does kind of kumihimo, which is the Japanese braiding. That's about it, though. She hasn't really picked up anything else yet. She will eventually, I'm sure. April 14th is my birthday. That's the day that Lincoln was shot, but he didn't die until the next day. That's the day that the Titanic hit the iceberg, but it didn't sink until the next day. So I was born on a day, but the 15th is a really bad day. So I was born on the day before the really bad day, I guess. That's one way to put it. Number 8, I read fiction 99.9% of the time. Real life is challenging enough. I don't need to read real life nonfiction. And the only nonfiction that I'll read is if it's entertaining. And I will say, though, I have read some really good nonfiction. The Devil in the White City, which is about the Chicago World's Fair and a serial killer. Awesome book. And Seabiscuit was awesome. So those were both considered nonfiction-ish. And but they were great because they were written very well. So, but for the most part, I read fiction. And I read way out things like fantasy, science fiction, and mystery. So my favorite authors are Jim Butcher, J.R. Ward, Agatha Christie, and Anne Bishop. All very different. Number 10, I've worn acrylic nails for almost 30 years. And most of the time, they're red. Number 11, I love puzzles. I like word games, Sudoku. I like logic puzzles. I like jigsaw puzzles, any kind of puzzle. I also play video games. With my favorites are Civilization Revolution, Diablo, Puzzle Quest, Ratchet and Clank, and all the Lego games. I don't do first-person shooters. I don't do RPGs. Other people in my house do those. Number 13, I tend to collect palm trees. Somehow in the last 10, 15 years, I've started kind of this palm tree collection, and every year I will get a palm tree something from my mother. I don't know how it started. I don't know why, other than they're here in Arizona, but I like palm trees. And also penguins are a big thing in our house. My daughter once referred to a sound that my husband made as a zombie penguin, and that just basically kicked it off right there. And so now penguins are also a thing, and my husband will get a penguin something or multiple things every year for his birthday, for Christmas, whatever. So penguins are definitely a thing in our house. At age 15, I was in a community theater production of The Sound of Music. I played the middle daughter, Brigitte. I was 10 at the time, and it was a summer production, and it was great fun. I continued to do like drama in high school, But mostly back of house. I wasn't so much on stage unless they really needed me to be. But I did a lot of the back of the house stuff. So lighting, sound, costumes, props, makeup, you name it. Anything back of house. 16, I adore Frank Lloyd Wright. And that was before I married Mr. Wright. But I adore all things Frank Lloyd Wright. I have the Lego model of Falling Waters. I will say I have not been to Taliesin, which is one of the studios here in Arizona, someday. But yeah, I just love the practical nature and the architecture. I just love it. Love it. 17, I like to cook and bake. I make an excellent New York style cheesecake. I also make really good breadsticks, dinner rolls, meatloaf, as we previously discussed. However, Pido and I do not get along. My mom makes amazing, and my grandmother both make amazing pies, and I rely on Pillsbury to make crust, which disappoints them greatly, I know. But I don't know. We just don't get along. I can never get it right. It's crazy. I've tried many different recipes. It's just not worth the trouble. 18, I've worked as a bookkeeper. I've worked as a technical writer. I've worked as an engineering analyst, a reporting manager. Obviously now I'm a consultant. I've been a contractor. I've worked in a variety of industries, doing all kinds of jobs. I was even a cake decorator for a while, many, many, many years ago. That was not fun. When I worked as an engineering analyst, I worked for a company that was a subcontractor for the military and also for Rocketdyne, which is now since been purchased by Boeing. So I used to look at their plans, which in one case were like wallpaper. We hung them on the wall. It covered all of the walls, and I had a 4-drawer file cabinet of specs that would go with those plans. And the plans were for cables and wiring harnesses that are currently in use on the space station. So I would write work instructions based on the plans and based on the specs, and working with the mechanical engineer who would say, yeah, that looks good, and sign off. I would write the work instructions of how to put those cables and harnesses together. And this is when I lived in Oklahoma, and I got paid a whopping $7 an hour for that work. Yeah, that was in the very early 90s. Ugh. It was great fun, but oh my God, it was so much work for very little pay. And I actually studied engineering when I was in college, but physics and I just don't get along. It's just weird. I love math. I love calculus. I love trig. SM. Cannot handle physics. And number 20, my favorite way to spend an evening is to be stitching or knitting and watch my husband play Mass Effect. Save the Galaxy is what we call it. Usually he's playing Mass Effect, one of the various Mass Effect games, or we're watching football, or we're watching baseball. And that's my evening, and I'm very happy. So that's 20 things about me. Thank you very much. I am working on consolidating all of my whips, which is a significant number, so that I can join in on the whip parade, hopefully sometime in the August time frame. Hopefully. I know where most of them are. It's just now getting them all in one place so that we can go through them. But until then, have a wonderful day. Keep the frogs away, and I will see you next time.